listening to precept on precept. Captain Shem break it down to no meat left. Line upon line in the word, make you respect. History collegiate when we teach it, brains reset. You listening to precept on precept. Captain Shem break it down to no meat left. Line upon line, the word make you respect. History collegiate when we teach it, brains reset. Putting in the work for the most high. Valley of the bones coming back and we gon' ride. Showing you our past didn't start with that boat ride. We a nation made of kings, yeah, we chose right. Bringing our identity back. We the praise of the Lord, they pretend to be that. Judah is something special, they can never be that. We raise the vengeance with the knowledge so our enemies crack. In fact, listen to the class and the topic. Bomb subject matter, breakdowns atomic. Gathering the people, the whole duty of prophets. Precepts start flowing, no telling.
Israel united in Christ. We are not a hate group. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. Israel United in Christ is a non-violent, Bible-based movement. We do not advocate or condone any acts of violence against any race, ethnicity, or gender. We advise that if anyone hears or knows of any plots to cause harm to anyone or to break the laws of the land, you must contact the proper authorities to bring awareness to any possible threat, as stated in Leviticus chapter 5, verse 1.
Shalom, shalom, Israel, Most High in Christ, blessed to everybody. Welcome to another edition of Precept Upon Precept on this Thursday evening, 9:30 Central Time. If you haven't done so already, I want everybody to subscribe, like, hit the bell notification for IUIC New Orleans YouTube page, and help us get to 15,000 subscriptions. Help us get there, y'all. So with that, I am your host, Captain Shem, and to the men to my left,
Officer Matthew.
Officer Mikael.
all praises to the Lord. Look, shout out to FCN, tough act to follow. All praises them Captains of Car and them Captains of Verse do their thing down there in Miami. Put up the meme for tonight's show. We're into part three. Part three. The face-off. Crisis, Ukraine, a showdown for two world views. And wars and rumors of wars. And this is exactly what's going on, y'all. So, matter of fact, in the spirit of that title, get Matthew chapter 24. Because, remember, Deacon Malachi, the book of Matthew 24 is much of a synopsis or a short segment of the book of Revelation. They very similar. Get Matthew chapter 24 and verse 5 and verse 6 and 7.
The book of Matthew, chapter 24 and verse 5.
Because we are living in prophetic times. Those of you who might be new to this truth and you're waking up knowing you're an Israelite, knowing that God needs you to keep the commandments as Israelites, you are living in the greatest and the most unstable times. Okay, read.
For many shall come in my name, saying, I am Christ.
And the amazing thing is that these Russians and Ukrainians and the United States of America, they're all Christians. They're all Christians. They're all so-called Christians. And some of them are Islamic, if you go a little bit more Central European. Read on.
And shall deceive many.
Come on.
And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars.
And that's exact. Right now, literally, we're going to get into some rumors tonight that the U.S. is trying to say that Russia is going to start a fake attack on itself so that they can seem like it's okay to invade. That's a rumor, okay? There's many other rumors that are going on, like the United States is not going to get involved. They're going to get involved. They're not NATO. All these rumors, and it's playing out on social media, playing out on the news, and we're living it. Well, guess what? We are living in these times. Read on.
See that ye be not troubled.
And this is why a lot of people, your Democrats, your Republicans, they're all up in arms. These military leaders, they're stressed out. They're losing sleep. You've got the embassy members, the diplomats, the prime ministers, and all these presidents and parliament and Senate. And the Israelites, we are sitting back, and we do not have to be troubled because we know that the Most High God is doing all of this, eventually leading up for us to be delivered from the lands of our oppressors. Read on.
For all these things must come to pass.
No, all these things should.
Must come to pass.
So everything that we're reading, these wars and rumors of wars, we have to go through them. So that's why we know the Bible is true. Why is it in 2022 the most elite countries, Russia and the U.S., they're talking about war? With all these advancements in technology, surely there should be a better way to coexist, right? No, the Lord said it has to happen. Read on.
But the end is not yet.
But the end is not yet. So there's going to be more that's going to happen. So with that, we're going to kick off the show. Get me the first. Let's start with number one. We're going to do something a little different. RT News article. Now, those of you who know about RT News, a lot of times we'll pull up these quick articles. It's just a tidbit, and there's a lot of truth to that because it's a non-Western viewpoint. So RT News, we should be getting it up in a second. So y'all stay along. And after this, we're going to let this thing go. We're going to hit some Black history next week. All right. Excuse me, y'all. I got to drink this coffee. So.
NATO warns Europe too dependent on Russian gas.
So why is that important? Because the United States is not dependent on Russian gas. Because we live, the U.S. is a whole Atlantic Ocean away, or in Alaska's case, the Bering Strait away. So, but Russia, like Poland and Germany and other Eastern European countries, are landlocked, if you will. There's pipelines that connect that. So, of course, they're dependent on Russia's gas and fuel sources, okay? Read on.
Western Europe's reliance on Russia as its main supplier of natural gas is a serious concern.
So Russia is the main supplier of Western Europe's natural gas. And pull up, if we can, real quick. If you can't, no worries. When we think of Western Europe, we have to put it in perspective. Western Europe is closer to the Atlantic Ocean. Pull up a map of Europe, just any map you can find real quick, off Sakiem and Tech Team. Yeah, you know what, Akiem, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna take a sip of this coffee because I'm tired as hell. T doing a great job, tech guy, great job. But I'm gonna drink this white cup of coffee because I'm tired as hell. Gabe, the brother, made this coffee. I could throw it on the wall. I could remove paint. That's how strong it is. All praise the Lord. Tech guys doing their job. They're doing their job.
Hey, you know, Cap, the last time somebody was dependent on gas, the U.S. kind of made it well known, kind of took advantage of that. Like, hey, right, you need me. So now they're warning them like, hey,
right,
y'all are becoming too dependent on Russian gas. So, 9 times out of 10, what that means is, hey, we're going to rob somebody else of their gas so that, we can supply y'all so y'all don't have to deal with Russian gas.
Remember, I think it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, we did a show in Kazakhstan, and there was an issue with one of the countries with I think it was Kazakhstan's with Bitcoin.
Yes.
And it affected Libya's something. Yaakov refreshed my memory.
Their oil imports in Libya.
Right, because Kazakhstan is a major exporter of different to include oil and natural gas. So check this out, y'all. So when we look to the far right, if you could use your mouse, and let's look at the country of Poland. Let's look at the country of Belarus and the Ukraine. So Poland is in dark green. Belarus is in the very light green to the right of Poland. To also bordering Poland is the Ukraine, which today's show we're going to get heavily involved in. Mm-hmm. But that's Eastern Europe. So when we go all the way to the left, or if you're military, let's go 9 o'clock. Western Europe is Portugal, Spain, France, Belgium, Netherlands, Italy. That's more of Western Europe. So not Eastern Europe most certainly is dependent on Russia. Russian oil and natural gas, but also Western Europe is. And a lot of times we got to remember that. And guess what all these countries are a part of?
A Cap.
Yes, sir.
You left out one major country in Western Europe, the United Kingdom.
Right. Yes. Yes. That's true. Yes.
Yes.
The UK, that's an island. I forgot all about it. It's an island country, which is Ireland and England, and that's very important because they are very, very powerful militarily, and all of these countries. He's right. Look at that. The English Channel, like 70-something, 80 miles. These countries here are dependent on Russian oil, and they all have one thing in common. I'm not sure about the UK, but all of them are in NATO. So remember in Revelation, let's get it to revisit it.
I believe the UK is still a part of NATO, but they did leave the European Union.
Right. Thank you. All praise to the Lord. So they're part of NATO still. So, and they're dependent because they're considered Western Europe on Russian oil. What's going to cause the division in NATO? Well, how about the fact that Russia is landlocked and they have pipelines, which are your main supplier of oil? We're not dependent on Russia for oil, but we're calling all the shots the U.S. in NATO, and we live way the hell across an ocean. Now, if the U.S. was in Europe, if we were in Europe, it'd be different. They're going to start to realize they're way over there calling all these shots. Russia, they really ain't done too much to us. Yes, the World War I was terrible, blah, blah, blah. But we need them. And there's going to be division that they're going to hate the whore. They're going to hate Babylon. Let's go to Revelation 7. We brought it out last week, but these are little clues to teach us that, to increase our faith, to make us realize, is it 17 verse?
16.
16. Yes. Yes, let's do that. 16.
The book of Revelation, chapter 17, and verse 16.
Watch this.
And the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast.
So the 10 horns are upon the beast, meaning they're working together, right? Read on.
These shall hate the whore.
These 10 horns that are upon this beast are going to hate the whore. Read on.
And shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh.
When you eat the flesh is talking about to consume oneself. They're supposed to be together. They're going to fall apart. They're going to break apart. And when that happens, and the World War III is going to be jumping off at that point. Now, y'all watch the class. Bishop Nathaniel, Captain Shemaiah put a 15 minutes, World War III. Y'all go check out. There's many classes in IUIC on World War III. We're not going to get into that today, but go check it out because you're living in these times. So go back to that article real quick, and then I know Officer Matt, Mikhail, you have some things that we want to bring out tonight. Tech team, I'm taking a sip.
Western Europe's reliance on Russia as its main supplier of natural gas is a serious concern, and the continent needs to focus on diversifying its supplies. NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg warned.
So what they realize is Russia's got the upper hand because when you look at the mass, if you go back to that map when you get a chance, that they often call it Euro-Asia because Europe and Asia are all one giant, huge continent that's connected and landlocked, other than England, which is very small. And I think they got an English channel. They got pipelines, I think, that run right to Europe, to the UK. So all of that is connected. And the U.S. is the one that's telling them that they need to get off the independence because they realize that their geographic position far from Europe, the U.S. is not stupid. And that's why they're always trying to bring NATO in and gather them together, get them to think the same page, okay? That's what's going on. But one day, they're going to be divided. And that's what the prophecy says. Yes. I just lost my train of thought. Why do we want this map up? Excuse me.
We was talking about the gas coming from Russia
yes.
to Western Europe.
Yes, thank you. I need some sleep. Look, so when we go right here, if you look at the top where Poland and Germany is, Belarus, Ukraine, Russia's right there. Latvia, Estonia. Look at the Baltic Sea. Then if you look, you have Sweden, Finland, Norway. Then you have Denmark, which is that little peninsula that sticks up near the North Sea. Then you have the United Kingdom. Now, all of those areas are, Europe is small even comparison. The whole continent of Europe, okay, well, part of that area is not even as big as Russia. So these pipelines that Russia has, that huge landmass, supplies them with natural gas and other raw materials for heating. Because all that area, except for perhaps the south of France and Italy, most of those have very long, strong winters. In particular, northern France, Germany, England, Sweden, Poland, all the Czech Republic, Ukraine, they have some serious winters, all right? So keep that in mind. So as we go through the show today, remember Russia has some power, and Russia has influence still, and the U.S., through its Western eyes, makes you believe that they're helpless. No, Russia has a lot of power, and they have still influence, and they're right next to China. So I wanted to open up the show with that. I know we have other things we want to get into, brothers. We have other things we need to get into.
We can just go down the list.
Yeah, let's do it.
Hit article number 2. Because looking at it, the U.S. is like you said, Cap. They calling shots from across the way, and I don't really know of too many organizations that take long distance orders over a long period of time. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're gonna tell me what to do, but you all the way over there. At a certain point, like children, you're gonna become defiant.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? That's like your mom or your daddy cursing you out over the phone. Like, you better be over there doing. You're like,
Right.
okay, but you all the way over there. Like,
Right.
I'm in California, you in New York. Like, what are you going to do to me right
And
now?
it works maybe you're 18, 19. Now you're 20 years old. Wait a minute. What? Mom, what?
Right.
That's a good analogy right there.
Hey,
I don't got to listen to you.
It's like the letters that Paul was writing. As long as he was writing letters from over there, they were still doing what they wanted in Corinth until he rolled up on them.
Right. And that's the point. Like, y'all got article 2? All right.
German government rules out introduction of preventative sanctions against Russia.
So they ruled it out. But see, this is the thing. They still going to put sanctions on Russia. If they just said in the last article, hey, y'all are growing too dependent on Russian gas. What you think that is? That's the start of a sanction.
Yes.
They're just not coming out and saying it, hey, we're going to put a sanction on Russia. No, they saying, hey, look, we got to start to take some stuff away. And there's an article that we're going to pull later that's going to show you why.
Those sanctions mean that they can't import or export anything. So if they can't export anything, that's the gas.
Yep.
So if they're telling you you're too reliant on Russian gas, they're preparing you for the sanction.
Exactly.
And Germany's like, hold up, wait. So is that the start of those 10 horns? Because Germany is one of those 10 horns.
I mean, think about it. The U.S. messed Germany up
Mm-hmm.
in the world wars.
Yes.
They messed Germany up, and I'm pretty sure they didn't forget. Like a lot of, the troops that's over there, I'm telling you, they ain't forget. Go back to the article.
German government rules out introduction of preventative sanctions against Russia will only be imposed in case of violation of Ukraine's territorial integrity.
So, the way that that's worded, their territorial integrity, meaning if Russia invades and it's against the rules of NATO or the EU.
The way that's worded, now, the way you just put it, yes, straightforward, right? But you got to understand the devil that we dealing with. This devil plays in gray area.
Yeah.
So their integrity could be you being on the border.
Right.
Yep.
Their territorial integrity is you being on the border. You're encroaching. That's where they like to play, in that gray area. And Putin's like, okay, I'm going to call y'all bluff. I'm going to send all my troops over there. What's up?
Go back to it. Go to number 3.
So real quick, and here's the thing. Now, mind you, the U.S. is the puppet master in NATO. So a lot of, and this is where the division can be. Germany is dependent on, to a certain degree, for Russian resources, right? And they're not too far away, right? Now, they're being fed what to say from the United States of America. But let's check this. Number 3 is the Ukrainian parliament. So this is you got to figure, like in the United States, you have the House and the Senate, and they meet in the Senate House, right? So we're going to go to a Ukrainian parliament floor. It's actually the floor, and you're going to see that there's a little video, 20, 40 seconds, something of that nature. And it says, Ukrainian parliament flooded with NATO flags to thank the West. But who's missing? My question is this. To thank the West, but you're thanking NATO, right? The U.S. isn't. The only 2 countries in the West are Canada. They ain't doing a damn thing. They got a problem with truck drivers in their country crossing the border. They're thanking the West because when they know, the Ukraine knows, they're thanking the United States, who is the force that backs NATO. They're telling you in this article, why would you not say thank Europe? There's almost all the countries in NATO, except for Canada and the U.S., are in Europe. Why wouldn't you thank Europe? Thanks, Europe. You thank the West. That's talking about the U.S. They're telling you what it is. They're telling you what it is.
They know for a fact that NATO is the long arm of the U.S.'s law.
That's right.
That's what NATO is.
Yes.
NATO is the military of the United States on the Eastern Hemisphere. They know that.
And another point is, when you say the West, even if there wasn't nothing going on in Canada, nobody thinks of Canada when you say the West.
Right. I'm going to put something up in a minute. You know, what's that brother name? His dad is black. Trevor something. Funny dude.
Trevor Noah.
He did a spiff. We're going to get it later if we got time. He did a spiff on a 6-minute video. Oh, it's hilarious. And they got Canada, right? And Russia, he's dressed up as all the leaders. We got to get, y'all will laugh your ass off. We're going to get it a little bit later. But they tell both Russia and the USA and Canada, he's got a Monty suit on. And they both like, man, shut up, Ken. Nobody care about you. So to your point, you're going to laugh and you're gonna laugh your ass off.
Hey, you're not supposed to be doing that, eh?
Right.
What in the frig do you think you're doing, eh? Hey, bud.
Right. Like
hey, bud, do you think you can not go ahead and encroach on Ukraine? Do you think you want to leave Ukraine alone, eh?
I don't know what that A is about.
Pull that thing up. There's a movie called, also Matt's funny because there's a movie called Strange Brew. And it's a dumb movie from the 80s, and I like all them funny comedy movies. And that's exactly how they talk. And they just drink beer and go crazy. Anyways, that's what happens. You grew up up north. Go to, yes, sir. Yes, sir. So now let's do Bishop Yawasop right quick. So now hold up real quick. Pause it real quick if you could. So now, what I first want to do is point out that this is an official parliament area. You can see the nice wooden engraved desks and all the seats, the big seats in the background. Let's just look at some of these flags. Now remember, they're thanking NATO. So I do see the Great Britain flag. I see the Canadian flag. I see a couple of there's the U.S. flag. They do have the U.S. flag behind the other one. There's one flag that's going to be missing from here. And one of them is a powerful country in Europe. So let's go ahead and play this real quick.
We got Denmark. We got Czechia. We have, let me see what that one to the far right.
With the eagle on it?
Yes. The one to the far right. That's
you got me on that one.
That's a crazy one. I'm going to get it, but go ahead and play. I'm going to get it.
Захищати його в кожному селі, в кожному районі і в кожному місті.
I would like to thank all our partners who stand side by side with Ukraine in countering Moscow aggression and Moscow invasion. We thank for understanding that Moscow trying to rebuild the Soviet empire poses a threat not only to Ukrainian territorial integrity and sovereignty, but also to the democracy and
Hey,
human
hold up. There it goes, that territorial integrity again. It says Russia trying to rebuild the Soviet Union is a threat to Ukraine's territorial integrity. What proof do they have that Russia is even trying to rebuild the Soviet Union?
Right. It's all. It is quite literally. It is. What's that? Is it
Propaganda.
Yes, propaganda, and it is complete. According to the Russian perspective, it's a complete lie. Here's the thing. This is my prediction. What I think happens is this. I think the United States sends people in there when they're children. Just like there was a movie that they did it. The Russians came over here, and it was a whole movie. Then they grew up in a society. Then they get a call, and they wake up out of it, right? The U.S. is not stupid. I think they send people over there and have them raised up in the language, right? And then that woman right there, she ain't speaking for the average Ukrainian. She's been politicized, put in there for an agenda to get that government to turn and create all these things, and she has a voice in there. Because when you think about, I was watching this video where they said that, what do everyday Russians and Ukrainians think about this war? And many of the families have immediate families, and they're separated by, in some cases, they're just a drive over a border. Like Louisiana is bordered to Texas. That's like, it's quite literally in some cases like that. You trying to tell me that they're not going to have family? A lot of them, they look the same. They have the same values and principles. They were a part of the Soviet Union 30, 40 years. So a lot of them were part of that. And they call Moscow and they call the Soviet Union, Russia, they call it the fatherland. People in the Ukraine still call it the fatherland because that's where all these independent countries came out of the Soviet Union. And many of the people have an affinity and affection and a patriotism towards Russia. The U.S. is slick, just like they came and they infiltrate all these countries. They send off some math, like you were saying, they send in their economic hitmen first,
Yep.
and they soften up. And I think they send in their political hitmen and hit women to come and cause this, to get a voice in the parliament so that then they can infiltrate from within. And that's Putin is a lot smarter than these U.S. Politicians think. He sees that coming. He's seen it coming for a long time, and he's not playing. He's not playing with the U.S. He's not going to play with
That's
it.
exactly what they do, Cap. When you look at it, when you look at all of these people that are groomed to be senators, presidents, political officials, they're groomed as teenagers to be a part of this. There are Edomite teenagers that are in middle school and high school that they do internships at these different political rallies and these special departments and stuff like that. They intern with them, and then next thing you know, they're on somebody's cabinet. You know what I'm saying? Because they've been working in politics since they was a teenager. So that's exactly what they do. They get those people in that limelight, in that area. They mold them to what they need to be. They get them mentally how they want them, and then they just let them loose. And then, they know exactly the psychology of how to get people to sympathize. Put a woman out there. Right. Have her cry. Put a little girl out there. Have her say that, the southern border of Russia harmed her family, and it was traumatic experiences to look out and see troops out in the backyard where she used to play at, and then the U.S. publicizes that worldwide. It's like, hey, look what they're doing to that little white girl.
Hey,
look what they're doing.
When you get a chance, pull up a map of Eastern Russia. Western Russia, because when you see just recently, remember the most powerful. Moscow was rated one of the top 5 most desirable cities to live in the whole world. It's a world city right there with Toronto. Moscow is a very powerful, very rich city. if you look at Moscow, Moscow is in almost the furthest western region of Russia. Right now, once we get that map up, tech team's doing a good job. We throw in a couple things. There we go, tech team. Shout out to the tech team. So let's look at the western city of Moscow, which is the capital, millions and millions of people. Most recently, we have had major uprising in Kazakhstan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, look, it's the Ukraine. And remember, in the Baltic Sea, they were doing, there was an exercise, was it the Norwegian, or one of the militaries was in the Baltic Sea doing military exercises.
That was Russia's military.
Russia was in the Black Sea, and then right across Turkey, the United States is in the Mediterranean, and they're both doing military drills.
So let's think about that. Wouldn't you, if you were the president of the largest country, one of the richest countries, be concerned if they are on the Ukraine and your biggest, most powerful city is within not even a long-range missile strike? Look at Moscow. If you love your people, now I'm not a communist, I'm not for Russia. The hell with all these devils that they can't wait till the Mossad delivers and they all get put in chains. But my point is, when you look at that map, okay, we're not a Christian organization. According to Isaiah 14, verse 2, they're all going to go into chains, every single one of them. The Savior shall rise up and defeat the Mount of Esau. Anyways, so look at Moscow, that star. Look at the Ukraine. Look at the position of that. If you are a leader of Russia, as soon as Kazakhstan jump and now the Ukraine, you damn sure right. That's like Russia encroaching on the island of Bermuda, right? Mm-hmm. And having military power with a Russian variation of NATO right there, and DC's right there. That's almost the exact equivalent. They right there. Are you serious? Now, Russia, look at the size of Russia. Anyways, what time is it? This show flies by. Wow. Do me a favor. Do we finish that video, or we almost? Let's finish that.
We gotta see who's missing.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
We gotta see who's missing, because that flag was Poland, when I was looking for. Go ahead.
Integrity and sovereignty, but also to the democracy, human rights, and international security. We have to protect them, so together we stand. Together we are strong.
So, yeah, if we could get that article, because I think Germany was missing. I could be wrong, but I think Germany might have been missing from that.
You saw how the guy that was holding the U.S. flag was looking at the girl as she talked? He was just looking at her like, yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
so here it is. So it says, I was wrong, Germany. It says deputies in Kyiv have apparently left out Ooh, that's it right there. Y'all look.
Ukrainian parliament
Yes.
flooded with NATO flags to thank West, but who's missing? Deputies in Kiev have apparently left out Germany and France.
Why? Now, let's think about it. When you look at Germany and France are some of the largest countries in Europe, right? Germany is also, I think it has the most powerful economy and a lot of influence, and so does France as well, right? Why would you leave them out? Because you ever think that maybe they're not all in agreement with everything the United States is having to say right now? Why? In the beginning of the show, remember, Western Europe is the most, its number one supplier of natural gas and oil was who? Russia. So you see how everything, the Most High is behind the scenes doing all this. And that's the beauty of the times we're living in, is spiritual. Y'all at home, y'all spiritual brothers and sisters. When we show you, you can see right through it. Now, if we was all into politics, we all worried about, World War III and what's going to happen and what I got to do to get. No. this means that your deliverance is this closer.
That's right.
Everything you see is coming. Don't be afraid. Don't. That's why Matthew 24 says, don't worry about it. Don't even worry. Don't even worry nothing about this right now. But we just need to see what's going on. All right? Mikhail, you were about to say something, brother.
Hey, Cap, a few weeks back we was reading an article where Germany didn't allow Great Britain to fly through their airspace to bring troops to the Ukraine.
Ooh.
Showing more of that division. So,
hey, I forgot about that.
yeah.
And look, and you know what? The heavy thing about that is when you go into the inception of NATO, France and Germany have been always some of the most powerful countries. And I'm going to tell you something. If you type in Germany's economy, I believe they have the best economy out of all the European countries. Right. They are, but there's, when you go into, now power is economic and militarily. Now they're all backed by NATO, but I'm talking about Germany itself is a powerful economic country. In the interest of time, we're going to move on, but y'all check that out. Now, okay, check this out. Do me a favor. Yes. Go to number 5. We're going to skip order. Go to number 5, RT News, and I want to just prove a point real quick. Yes. Yes. Here's a little bit more division. Mm-hmm. And it's just a quick post. It's not a full article, but just to show you something. RT News is a you're not going to hear what you hear on CNN or most of these other places.
It says U.S. troops to Romania, Poland, and Germany are not going to fight in Ukraine.
But hold up. But Poland and Germany are part of NATO. And I thought that if there was a problem that don't all NATO countries come to back, here's the problem with the ass backwards thing of Edomites, of Esau. The Ukraine is not in NATO. So none of them should be rushing to fight NATO and to support, to stand up for the Ukraine. None of them. NATO, remember, it's Article 5 or something, Amendment 5 says that if one of them are attacked or they're encroached, all NATO countries are supposed to come into their defense, showing you that the United States can deem and label something as an ally or something of that effect, and then they can support them by just doing what? Sending them bombs, sending them all that, but technically they're not helping out. You see how trickery, too much trickery they use? Number 5. We there again?
U.S. troops to Romania, Poland, and Germany are not going to fight in Ukraine. Pentagon press secretary.
You want to know why? Because they don't see a problem with what's going on with the Ukraine. In all actuality, the Ukraine has always been under the jurisdiction of Russia. But whoever that they sent into the Ukraine to stir all of this stuff up like they did in Kazakhstan is now saying, no, we want to join with NATO. We want to join with NATO. And Russia's like, no. Y'all was once part of the USSR. Since the USSR disbanded, it's not like y'all go to the West now. Y'all still y'all still in partnership with us. Y'all still got dealings with us. And now whoever their puppet people that are in the high places are, now they're starting to stir these things up.
Hey, real quick, and right after this break, we're gonna jump to number 8, because what you just said, what Putin's mistake is they allowed it to go on for too long. They allowed them to encroach too far close to the border. You want to know why? The U.S. would never allow you to come. Matter of fact, Cuba was an example that, and later on, Russia's trying to get ties with South American countries, and the second they try to put some Russian-affiliated alliance bases over there, the U.S. will drop bombs on them. Russia, in some ways, is too soft, and the U.S. sees that. They keep encroaching. Do me a favor. Get me, it just came to my mind, nope. Yes, number 6, before break, number 6. So, remember we made the statement before about NATO. if a country is a part of NATO and their territory encroachment occurs, or whether it be you're being invaded, whatever you want to call it, all NATO countries are required under their NATO law to come to their defense. Well, they're not part of NATO, but all these countries are coming to the defense. Here's the proof. The U.S., that's why Job 9:24, the earth is given to the hands of the American Caucasian. They're running everything. The U.S., they're running everything. We're going to jump through this article real quick.
As Putin blames West, Russia's military buildup continues.
Let's be clear. They're in their own damn country. Their country's capital is in the west of Russia. You telling me you can't send your troops to your border of your country? I'm telling you, the U.S. is a bunch of damn, they slick militarily. They slick. Read.
Satellite images capture the establishment of tents and shelters for troops near Ukraine's border.
See how they write that BS? They're in Russia on the Russian border of the Ukraine. What are they talking about?
Hey, Cap, just to give perspective on how close these countries are.
Right.
The capital of Ukraine is Kiev. The capital of Russia is Moscow. That's less than 11 hours away.
So that's like going from New Orleans to like North Carolina or something like that.
Yeah.
About New Orleans to Kentucky.
New Orleans to Kentucky. We can do that in a half a day. Bam.
It's all perception, Cap.
Right.
It's perception. If they can control the perception of the people, they can control the narrative. They can control whether or not the U.S. invades. Like, for instance, not to go off topic, but when 9/11 happened, they blamed a particular people, and when they invaded, they had the encouragement of all of the citizens and everybody else that had no idea what was going on behind the scenes, and they said, yes, those people are terrorists. Attack them. They're bad people. So when it was ill-advised to invade in Iraq, and they did it anyway, nobody ever did anything.
They were protesting in D.C. not to go. Remember that?
Yeah.
And was it George Bush, the dumb one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Bush.
Not the old one that was
George
funny.
Bush Jr.
George Jr., the fifth grade. Listen, I like his father. Well, wouldn't be prudent. Not this juncture. I like him. The other one is dumb as hell. Hey, did you see when George Bush Jr. was meeting the other presidents, and they're walking up shaking hands, and they're all looking at him like, you stupid as hell. Like, he just looked dumb. Anyways, hey, beautiful. Let's read on.
It may signal an increased overall readiness level of Russia's military.
Moscow is on the western border. They can send troops to any part of the border they want, just like we could do the same thing. Read on.
Here's what you need to know.
Uh-huh.
Satellite imagery captures Russia continuing military buildup near Ukraine.
We could, like Mikhail said, how about protection of the capital and its neighboring suburb cities in Russia, right? I'm not pro-Russian. We just truth. We pro-truth. This is some wicked stuff they twist in here.
Hey, Cat, we got troops on the border of Mexico.
Yep.
Right, exactly. Right, exact. Look, some of the biggest bases are on our borders, the West Coast and the East Coast.
Yeah.
Hey, watch
What
this.
the hell are they talking
Watch
about?
this. We got bases in Germany.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Literally, U.S. bases in Germany right now. Crazy. And you know what? There is some. They did have in Cuba. They had Russian armaments. They didn't have any, Russian bases, but they did supply weaponry, and that was an island. Okay, but we've got, the U.S. has Germany. It has. So Matt said they have NATO bases. You were over there in Poland.
Yeah, they got NATO bases in Poland. They got them in the Czech Republic. They got them in Mongolia.
Hey, let me tell you something. I'm gonna prove, and this I know firsthand. This is back in the 80s. My brother was attached. He was a U.S. Army medic. He was attached to a French commando unit as a U.S. Army, Marine Corps calls them corpsman, Navy corpsman. a medic is, they call him Doc, the docs. He was attached to a French commando unit. So they trained together. German bases. They got bases in Japan. They got bases in Kuwait, U.S. base, all over. And they talk about on the border of Ukraine, which they used to be 40 years, 30, they used to be a part of. A lot of them used to go to Moscow for the holidays, 11 hours away. These people are wicked as hell. Look, we get ready to shoot on to break. This is Precept Upon. We on a hot show. We got a whole lot more content. We on Roars and Rumors of War Part 3. It's going down right now. Watch the articles throughout the week. Pay attention to the news and don't just focus on Western European points of view. Look at other world sources to get your information. All right? So with that, we're going to break. Stay with us.
The Messiah is a savior and a conqueror.
Joseph, follow me.
Shalom, Israel. My name is Sister Zakaya from IUIC Cincinnati Camp, and I am here because I have a special announcement for you. It is almost that time again. Passover 2022, it is right around the corner. I am excited. I hope you are too. The dates are from March 31st through April the 4th. That's March 31st through April the 4th, so make sure you mark your calendars. This year's colors are brown and gold, and make sure you visit originalroyalty.com to get your official garments. One more thing, Israel. Registration details will be available soon. Do not neglect to register. Make haste. And remember, never give up, never give in. Shalom.
Shalom, this is Bishop Nathaniel of Israel United in Christ. I have an important message about your leaders in the Christian church. Your bishops, pastors, reverends, and ministers are all lying to you and leading you straight to damnation. The truth is, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans are the biblical Israelites, according to Deuteronomy chapter 28. Jesus Christ is a black man with white wool hair, according to Revelation chapter 1, verses 14 and 15. We as the Israelites must keep the commandments in the faith of Christ to receive salvation, as it is written in Revelation chapter 14, verse 12. I've challenged and debated Christian authorities all over the world on these issues. Not one of them has been able to negate this truth. Your pastors have led you astray, worshiping pagan holidays and false gods, just as in the days of old. So join us on our mission to restore the true nation of Israel before the decree goes forth. The work is plentiful, but the laborers are few. Visit our website at israelunite.org or call us at 855-484-4842 to learn more and visit our schools. Shalom.
Shalom, 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 shalom. Welcome back to Precept Upon Precept. We in the midst of Part 3, Wars and Rumors of War. Russia, the U.S., the Ukraine's in the middle. We got a hot show. Welcome to the show. Look, go right back to the article, the newspaper article, and we got something hot off the press we're going to bring out because there's a key player in this game that the U.S. really doesn't want to get involved in. We're going to bring that up in a minute. I think we pick up with wherever we picked up at.
Here's what you need to know. Satellite imagery captures Russia's continuing military buildup near Ukraine. U.S. troops will be deployed to NATO allies in Eastern Europe.
Right, and here's the point of that. Now, if we could pull up, and when you get the time, I want you to pull up the map of Eastern Europe that you got before, because it in that article, it said the allies in NATO allies in Eastern Europe. And we know that even though Brussels, Belgium is the capital of NATO, remember when they was in that room in the Ukraine parliament, they thanked the West.
Yep.
Thank you, America. Thank you for and your minions that work with us, so we want to be part of your power structure. That's really what they're saying. When we get this map of Eastern Europe, the United States has bases and joint bases in, let's look at the top. The United States has bases in Germany. Look, Officer Mikael pointed out, in Germany right now. So, Poland is we know, is a NATO country, right? So we can use their bases, right? So look at Poland. Look how close it is. If you look at the northern part of Poland, not too far. You just jump ship right over Belarus, right? But wait a minute. Isn't Belarus also part of NATO? I think we've described that and defined that last week. Belarus is part of NATO as well. I'm going to confirm. I'm going to Google that real quick. So you've got that. You've also got Romania. Let's go down below Romania is part of NATO. Why is that important that Romania is part of NATO? Because the Black Sea is a body of water, which you could put a submarine in that water, you could put a destroyer in that water, and guess what? The Russian, when you see that purple, Russian part of Russia goes down to the Black Sea. So the U.S. has bases, NATO bases in Romania, Poland, Czech Republic, and later on we're going to talk about Slovakia. There's something going on right now in Slovakia that we want to talk about. This, y'all who have maybe not paid attention to this, as you realize what's going on, the Most High has put it in the spirit of both of these sets of Edomites to make moves like this, and he's also got his Moabite chessmate that we're going to read about in a minute too. It's not. Okay, okay, thank you for that correction, tech team. It is not part of NATO, but it is an affiliate of NATO, meaning that they are still in talks. So, go back to the article real quick, and we ain't going to spend too much time on this article, but y'all online, y'all watch this. Pay attention. Pay attention.
Belarus is more of a mediator.
Okay.
Between Russia's Collective Security Treaty Organization and NATO. So whenever information needs to get passed, Belarus is one of those countries that, act like a mediator.
It's a buffer state, basically.
Interesting.
That's exactly what Ukraine was supposed to be. But
right.
The U.S. don't want that. The U.S. is like, nah, we need to move in.
And that's why, remember, let's not forget. Hey, I got a question. Remember Kazakhstan, which is the 9th biggest country, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know the Russia sent troops in it and stopped all that BS real quick. How come they didn't invade Kazakhstan? How come they're not on trial for invading Kazakhstan? That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
They're on their border, on the border city, and they're being accused of potentially, allegedly, maybe invading. But they went into Kazakhstan and kicked ass in regulated order, and then they went back home. What are they talking? Listen, you Western Edomites are the damn masters of deceit. They're sorcery, masters of sorcery and deception.
Although Kazakhstan would be a real strategic place for the United States, it's still more than 11 hours away from Moscow.
That's true. That's true.
Ukraine's right there. That's why that's more important.
Like Russia said, they're trying to put nuclear weapons on our front porch. Like they're not about to have it. Hey, can we real quick?
Yes.
Can we get number 7? We got to get number 7. When we first started this series, I made the analogy of the board game Go, or one of the brothers said the game of Risk. Okay. This is the type of stuff that you have to pay attention to. Now, the U.S. was trying to take control of the Ukraine. They have Poland. They have the different stands. They was in Afghanistan. They was in Iraq. They're in Mongolia. Look at the map with all of those different countries that are surrounding Russia and Kazakhstan and all of that stuff. These are the things that we have to pay attention to when you're looking at these wars and rumors of wars. Why? Because these are strategic placements that are used in wartime. When you have a base in this country, a base in that country, after a while, your enemy is surrounded.
Yep.
And they have nothing else to do but to either kamikaze style go to war with you or give up everything. You got that already? Let's see this.
ISIS leader Abu Abraham al-Hassamani al-Qadaris dies in U.S. military raid in Syria.
Can you move the screen over to the so we can see all of the words? Other way.
Other way. As
Bring
far as
it
it
out.
go.
Zoom it out a little bit. Just
One of the tech guys won't stop eating a sandwich.
There you go. So they killed the ISIS leader today. Well, earlier. Yesterday, last night sometime. You know they like to do stuff at night. They killed an ISIS leader.
Hold on. Time out. Didn't they already prove that ISIS was CIA run?
Yes.
So they killed the ISIS leader, but ISIS was CIA. So what? He didn't want to work for the CIA no more? Well, I don't get it. I'm confused.
Hey, real quick, let's just, Officer Member, don't hold your thought. Get Job 9:24. And this is how we know that China's a force. This is how we know China ain't running the earth. Because all behind all of this drama that we read in Syria, remember he went into Iran and killed the most beloved guy. They raised the flag they never raised in 100 years. They marched through the streets, all this stuff. What man is doing all of this in the earth? Listen, the Edomites and Babylon the Great, America, the United States, they are running the earth. They are Babylon. They are the whore that sits on many waters. The Bible is a true book. So all you lying Christian pastors who don't think that America, the United States, is Babylon the Great, that great whore, you're a bunch of damn liars, and you're misguiding and misleading the people. Come out of these whorehouses called churches. Bishop says it all. Come out of these churches. They're lies. Okay, read.
The book of Job, chapter 9 and verse 24.
Listen good.
The earth is given into the hand of the wicked.
This man caused political unrest on all type of chaos in Kazakhstan. He's causing it in Syria right now. Officer Matt's about to get into this Syria. Why would he want to get a global position in Syria? Well, when we look at a map, you're going to really see why. Because guess what's to the immediate west of Syria? There's your waterway, which is connected all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. Guess what's to your north? I believe it's Turkey to the north. And it's right in the doggone area of the Arabs, okay? So, Officer Matt, take that thing away, man. Officer Matt, got to get right back. I just wanted to point that out. The U.S. is the one that's running the earth.
Oh, yes, they are. Go back to the article. Go ahead.
Washington.
Zoom out one. Y'all keep cutting the words off, man. Yes.
Says Islamic State leader Abu Abraham was killed in an overnight U.S. military raid in Syria. President Joe Biden announced Thursday.
So they killed a Syrian ISIS leader. Okay? Read on.
Al-Qarashi detonated a bomb that killed himself and several other people, including his wife and children, as U.S. Special Operation Forces approached with the intention of capturing him, Biden said. I call BS. I call BS.
It makes it look like it flips it. Now this tyrant killed innocent children and his whole family.
Yes. When you look at it, it says Special Operations Forces. That is a very broad statement. You don't know who's who. You don't know who did what. And all you can do is believe what they say.
SEAL Team number 9, right? Wasn't that Iraq when they went?
SEAL
and got,
Team 6.
No, SEAL Team 6. Same thing. Mercenaries. It says first responders reported that 13 people were killed, including 6 children and 4 women. Senior administration officials who spoke on the condition of amity said those numbers don't match their assessment of casualties.
Well, I wonder why. Because maybe the story was a little doctored up. They know if something big happened, hey, look, just tell the press this. Just tell them this.
Right.
But it don't match up. Read.
Thanks to the bravery of our troops, this horrible terrorist leader is no more.
Wow. Ain't that what they said about bin Laden? Ain't that what they said about Saddam Hussein? Ain't that what they say about everybody that they kill? Every single person that they murder, they say the same thing. Thanks to the bravery of our troops, this terrorist regime is now done. This terrorist leader is now dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on now. Look,
Right.
but the point that I wanted to bring out in this is bring up the map.
Exactly.
With all of this that's going on with the Ukraine and Kazakhstan and all of this, you got the unrest in Kazakhstan, who the Kazakhstan president said was a coup to take over the country by outside external forces.
Mm-hmm.
Then
From the West.
the Ukraine is all of a sudden has an interest in joining NATO. But France and Germany don't want them to. Belarus is the middleman. Poland is already a part of NATO. There's a lot of moving pieces going on. Y'all got the map?
Yes.
All right, now zoom in to where Syria is. So in the northwest corner of Syria is where
Syria
Purple.
is north of Turkey, south
of Turkey.
south of Turkey, north of Iraq.
So boom.
Mm.
So in the northwest part of Syria is where the ISIS leader was killed. Zoom out a little bit. All right. So you got the Mediterranean Sea. Didn't we just cover last week that the U.S. was doing war games in that same exact spot? So they're doing war games in the Mediterranean. Then all of a sudden, they kill an ISIS leader that they have a good foothold in Syria to back out some more.
Mm-hmm.
To the Black Sea, where Russia is now doing their war games, and Russia is right there.
Right.
And Kazakhstan is right across the Caspian.
That's a hell of a point, because when you look, all of y'all at home, what Officer Matt is saying is super, super heavy. Now, in the car ride, Officer Matt, you mentioned that I know we're not even allowed certain U.S. in Turkey, correct?
Yeah, certain U.S. is not even allowed in Turkey. Turkey got a lot of beef with us.
Hey.
The Air Force can go there, but
Right.
other than that, ain't no other U.S. forces really going to be in there.
This is chess, not checkers.
Mm.
We didn't get to the article. I had posted an article, like I think when we first started talking about Kazakhstan. I posted an article about financial instability in Turkey.
Yes, I
That's
remember
how
that.
it starts. That's how it starts. The financial instability, then they send in their troops. Watch, they're in Syria now. Watch what, and look how strategic Turkey is. Put the map back up.
Mm.
Look where Turkey is.
Yep.
You got Georgia, aka South Georgia, Russia, Armenia, where your Cardassians are from. That's all the Caucasus Mountains. That's Russia.
Hey,
They're right there.
And that's a good point, because remember, in the U.S. thinks decades ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, when you look at the bottom of the screen, we're in between Iraq and Iran, right? You have Kuwait. Kuwait, before, 20-something years ago, they didn't know what Christmas was, and now they got strippers, homosexuality, and Christmas. And that's in that Kuwait. That is the middle of the 12 princes of Ishmael. You got Iran, which is an Arabic country, Islamic country. Iraq. You got Saudi Arabia, which is right below Iraq. Kuwait, Syria is an Arabic country. So, Officer Matt, you're saying, look, and Mikhail's saying, now you can encroach much easier on Turkey because you got a foothold there, right? Like, let's not forget, they already got military bases and they send billions of dollars to Israel, which is right next to Syria.
Yep.
So think about that. Now, if you're Russia is literally, they're trying to cut that piece of Russia off. Look at Kazakhstan to the right, right? Look at the Ukraine. That's a big, giant chunk of Russia right there, right? If I'm the president, I'm going to protect my most southwestern part of Russia. Because guess what? That is in between two waterways, the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea. It's very important to protect that. So the U.S. is, like you said, that game risk.
It is.
Look, you got Syria, encroach on Turkey. Then you've got the Ukraine, which we're dealing with right now, and Kazakhstan. And then Russia, this is some heavy stuff.
Right there to the top left of the Black Sea, you got Romania.
Right.
So Romania, when the U.S. fights, because there were Romanian troops on the base that I was stationed at, they joined the U.S. in their prolonged military engagements. That's what they call them. They don't call them wars. They call them prolonged military engagements. So Romania is part of that. So look at all, like, there's a few troops in Turkey. There's some troops in Romania. There's troops in Syria. There's still troops in Iraq. All right? Iran got beef with us. We just left Afghanistan.
Right.
Like, all of these different, this is too much power for the U.S. to just use at any time that they feel like, for Russia to not respond. It's like, it's like somebody coming to your house, surrounding you, and saying, well, we didn't do anything to you yet. I mean, we didn't do anything to you. Remember that show, Them?
Yes.
Remember all the Edomites was sitting outside the girl house?
Yeah.
And they was all drinking tea, playing music really loud.
Yep.
And it was like, well, we're not doing anything to you. We're just sitting here watching your house and making you uncomfortable.
Right. Look, real quick, because this show, we flying by. We got 20 minutes left. Do me a favor. Pull up, before I forget, because in the interest of what you're saying, Officer Matt, go to number 8, because it talks about Poland and Romania within NATO, and this is important. And then there's also 9 and 10, I'm going to do quickly, Slovakia, and they're building something in Slovakia right now, which is west of Poland, which is a hop, skip, and a jump to almost beeline and straight to doggone Moscow. So we're looking at, I think it's number 8.
And why they pulling that up? When you look at that map and you see where Russia is and where Turkey is and Syria, right below that is the Valley of Decision. And so all this stuff going on in that area,
right?
Israel, y'all better get yourself right. Get yourself right. It's time to repent now. It's time to repent now. Get yourself right.
Hey, look. They ain't getting no timeline.
No, they didn't.
For Matthew 24, 2nd Esdras. He said these are the signs to watch for.
Yep.
He ain't get no timeline. That's why he said no man knoweth the day nor the hour. He ain't get no timeline. He showed signs. Signs could be fast. You never know what could happen. There's a lot at play with them being in that area with all of the beef. Russia and the U.S. coming. Talks of World War III is ramping up. And what time is it? Look at what time it's coming to. What are we planning for? We're planning for Passover.
Hey, and that's why y'all, this is why, listen, y'all brothers and sisters who are part of Israel United in Christ, your leadership has the vision to keep prophecies rolling in, prepare you for the worst case scenario, and we still singing songs for the Lord and enjoying lamb and bitter herb and doing the Lord's work while keeping the feast days of the. Y'all in the right place. Do not let any man or woman sway you out this truth. Don't be simple. We're gonna watch this video. All right. It's a YouTube. It's a short video. It's number 8. Here we go. So now I think I timestamped this. I want you to go to 1 minute, so we, in the interest of time, because what we're going to find out, Vladimir Putin, however you say it, he is not a dumb dude. He's former KGB, which is like the equivalent of our CIA or our whatever special ops.
Yeah, that'd be the special forces.
Special
It'd be
forces.
special forces, CIA.
Listen,
intelligence, all of that stuff.
Putin could whoop some ass. Okay,
Hey, Cap,
this guy's
remember,
no joke. He'll whoop Joe Biden's rear end.
Hey, Cap, remember, this is a guy, when he goes through Moscow or
Right.
any town, he doesn't have the
Right.
highway shut down. He rolls through on a motorbike with
I
no
saw that.
helmet in a biker gang, and one of his top men in that biker gang is like one of the biggest crime lords in Russia.
Right.
Like, this dude is a gangster. Like when Obama came through New Orleans, they shut the highway down. Like, nobody got to go here.
Right.
Airspace clear.
You want to know? I know that's true. When Trump came through, my phone shut down to 3G. Verizon business class shut down to 3G. I'm like, what's going on? And they can jam cell phone towers. They do all of that. And so it's a fact. But look, let's play this video. Now, we're going to go to 1 minute. This is Vladimir Putin speaking about what America is using. Check what he says. I'm going to let him tell you.
By drawing us into a military conflict and making their European allies impose against us those tough sanctions the U.S. talks about today.
Russia has massed more than 100,000 troops on
Where
the
we at?
Ukrainian
Timestamp
border.
real quick, if you would, please. Where we at? We're at 101. Beautiful. Okay, play.
And Western countries say they fear Putin may be planning to invade. Russia denies this, but has said it could take unspecified military action unless its security demands are met. Western countries have rushed to show solidarity with Ukraine. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson on Tuesday met with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky in Kyiv and accused Putin of holding a gun to Ukraine's head to demand changes to the security architecture in Europe.
Hold up.
He also warned that any Russian invasion would lead to a military and humanitarian disaster.
And there are 200,000.
Pause it real quick. I want to see where we're at right now in the video, if we could. Okay, I want you to go to 1 minute, please, because we missed. Yeah. Go back to a little bit before 1 minute. Then there's something that he says.
Putin said Washington is not primarily concerned with Ukraine's security, but with containing Russia.
That is the problem. In this context, Ukraine is just a tool to reach this goal.
Stop.
It can.
What he just said, I had to listen to it 3 times. He said that Ukraine is just a tool to contain Russia. You know what's another tool? When the Soviet Union was disseminated and broken up, who do you think was implanted in that to make that happen? Who do you think was able to bring and allocate who is going to be allowed to come to NATO next? Those were all tools. Kazakhstan was a tool. Bombing ISIS, do you think they're really worried about what the hell's going on in Syria? No, because now that's close by. Russia and China, they see as the threat. When they went and attacked in 19 with George Bush #2, they beat him in the first one in 1991. We watched it on TV. They beat him in a day. They're not worried about the Arabs in the Middle East. This is the problem. So they want to control and contain Russia. And Putin's smart. He said, look, it's just a tool to contain Russia. Meaning he's like a chess player. We know you infiltrated Kazakhstan. We know what you're doing. We know what you're doing throughout this, and we're not tolerating what you're doing anymore because we see through you. And they never had any intention to invade the Ukraine. And I'm not pro-Russia. Don't think I'm not pro-anything. I'm pro-God. The hell with all of these there. They're all going to go into slavery. Putin, his family, Bush, his family, all of them. They're all going to go into slavery according to Isaiah 14, verse 2. What I'm saying is that he's telling the truth. Play it again.
But with containing Russia.
That is the problem. In this context, Ukraine is just a tool to reach this goal. It can be reached by various means, by drawing us into a military conflict and making their European allies impose against us those tough sanctions the U.S. talks about today.
Now,
Russia has masked
in
more
the
than
interest of time, I want you to do me a favor real quick. I want you to get me number 10, and then, because I want room for Officer Matt, that article you had for about China. Get number 10 if you would, all right? And there's an article, and I want you like to pull a map of Eastern Europe, pull that map up, and then get number 10. And while you do that, please, beautiful. So, Slovakia, just to paint the picture, is a country, when we pull up on the map, beautiful, we have the map up as well. No, hang on a sec. Let me just look at it real quick. Okay, so just to give you some context, Slovakia, and look at it now, and the tech team's going to show the map in a second. Slovakia is directly south of Poland and directly west of the Ukraine. So let's think strategically. They already have Romania. We could throw that map up if you can do it. If you can do it. We have a map. Look, so check this out. Like we said before. Now, Turkey's at the bottom right of some map. Just pull that. We killed someone in Syria, right? That major guy from ISIS that the CIA set up. Romania is a part of NATO. The Ukraine is the country in question, right? Belarus is a neutral, like Officer Mikhail brought out. Poland is a part of NATO. We have NATO bases there right now. Czech Republic, the same thing. And then, of course, Germany to the left. Now, let's put the arrow on Slovakia and circle it a couple times. Why is this so important? Well, when you go from Slovakia, it's a mountainous region. And it gives you more of a direct path north of Romania. And it is also, well, it's more of a direct line with Moscow. Anyways, so let's go ahead and read that article. Remember Slovakia. Remember Slovakia. We're going to get that article up. So while we wait, so keep in mind. Say again? Yes, sir. All right.
Slovakia about to conclude agreement on defense cooperation with the U.S. The Foreign Affairs Minister added that Slovakia is the last of all countries in the so-called Eastern Wing of NATO that does not have such an agreement.
You know what's heavy about that? That means every single other one of those countries does have an agreement like this, meaning, in what we read about, the U.S. is in every one of these countries. They telling themselves. You just got to pay attention. Read.
Slovakia should conclude a defense cooperation agreement with the U.S. The Slovak Defense Ministry has submitted the proposal for an interdepartmental review procedure. Defense Minister, you know what?
Yeah, don't worry about that. Hey, look. Let's jump down where you see the quotation marks where it says it is an absolutely standard international.
It is an absolutely standard international agreement which was signed today by 23 member states of NATO out of 29 states outside of the U.S.
You know what? When I see that, you know what I see in that? I see one word. Division. Why? If NATO is perfectly, that's why it says a house that is divided cannot stand. This is why we read before that, remember, Germany and France were the two most powerful countries in NATO that they did not want to align. Remember? They weren't present on their flags were not present. That's division. So we go back to this article real quick. Check this out. So most of them are in agreement. Read on.
Nod said, has quoted by the TASR Newswire. Such countries include Hungary and Poland, for example.
Right. And now in Poland and in Hungary, all these other countries, are in NATO, we have NATO bases there. Meaning the United States, because that's who runs everything. Let's just call it what it is. Read on.
It will ease things for us. It will standardize the cooperation, which is ongoing. He noted and added that discussion about the agreement started in 2018 under the former government.
The U.S. has been planning this for 4 years. The next is going to be Belarus. So in the first phase, I'm going to read this real part. In the first phase, the agreement should earmark. So this is just the first part. The first part, an earmark of $100 million to modernize the defense infrastructure. What does that mean? The first thing you're going to do is you're going to build your airports up. You're going to build your airfields up. You're going to build your Air Force bases up. So now it's a NATO Air Force base in this country, which is also part of NATO. It's the last country, meaning all the other ones already have that already. They just told, this is a Slovakian newspaper. Now, guess what? You jump right over Ukraine, right? Russia's the next country. Showing you what's going on. Read on. Okay, so look, we're gonna stop there real quick because I want Officer Matt to pull that article, because here's the thing. All of these things, and we're gonna go a little bit over, should prepare you for what? Russia is not a pushover. God, in order for these words of these prophecies to come true, you have to have two sides that are going to differ. NATO is going to turn, these countries are going to break apart. They're going to turn on the U.S. And the princes of Ishmael are going to wake up according to 2 Ezra chapter 15 and remember you want to kill. I don't even have, any of you got an Arab accent?
Money.
Hey,
give me an Arab accent. I hate to say, I can't do an Arab. Anybody got an Arab accent?
Or you want to kill my friends.
Right. So you kill ISIS, the main guy, the beloved of Iran. You don't think they're going to start to realize these guys do not love us at all, no matter how much economic ties we have. So they're going to remember their nature. The Most High going to muster all that up. Russia is going to be a force with China, which we're going to get to next. The EU or NATO, they're going to break apart. They're going to turn on the West, which is the United States of America. And God the Father is orchestrating all of that in the hearts of men, and he puts it in their heart to what to do. He visits them in their dreams and their thoughts. It's amazing.
Hey, Cap.
Yes, sir.
Now, with the whole Russian gas thing, like we brought it up earlier, when Russia starts the gas war with Europe and NATO, who you think they're going to go to? They're going to go to Saudi Arabia. They're going to go to Iran. They're going to go to the Ishmaelites. Mm-hmm. And then the Ishmaelites are going to see, wait a minute, you was just beefing with them. We have no problem with them.
Right.
And now you coming to us. No, we're not about to get on that same page. I want written verification that you're not going to mess me over like you did my brothers. Wait.
Right.
You messed my brothers over. You killed one of my lead scientists. Mm-hmm. You killed the second in command of my military. Why do you think Iran, Saudi Arabia, Iraq, Afghanistan, why do you think they've been quiet all this time? Mm. Their leader got killed a year or two ago, and nobody said anything. There's a thing that we say in the black community, real G's move in silence. Then people is going to get them. They already got their families over here that own damn near every gas station that you go to. These people ain't playing.
Matter of fact, and then I want Officer Matt. We could do a fourth show, but we're gonna leave. I want you to. You're gonna pull that article up. Tech team, get Officer Matthews' article. He pulled up about China, right?
Yes.
Before we do that, to back up what God is saying, let's get 2 Ezra chapter 15, because some of you might be new. You might have not have heard that the princes of Ishmael or the Arabians are going to realize that they are a lot in number, and they've been blessed with resources, aka oil, and geography. They're grouped together. And it's 2 Ezra chapter 15, and it's verse, I think, 28 I want to start at.
And you know they got money, Cap, because they sell chicken and gas.
Right. Yes.
You know they got money. They getting chicken and gas. Two things Negroes consume.
Yes. Because Negroes like to ride around eating chicken.
Hey, it's the truth there. Even in the truth, brothers like to do that. Hey, ain't nothing wrong with chicken. All right. Go ahead.
2nd Esdras chapter 15 and verse 28. Behold, in the horrible vision and the appearance thereof from the east, where the nations of the dragons of Arabia shall come out with many chariots.
So the nations of the dragons of Arabia. Who are the nations? Syria, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Kuwait, Iran, Iraq, so on and so forth, are the nations of the dragons of Arabia. The Arabians are the princes of Ishmael. They were given blessings when you read in the book of Genesis. Read.
And the multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth.
Meaning if you're the multitude are carried as they're going to be together. They're going to come together strategically. Read on.
That all they which hear them may fear and tremble.
That proves it's going to be of a force of military. Because what would make people fear and tremble of them coming together? Them talking about something? No. Read on.
Also the Carmanians, raging in wrath, shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood.
Now, let's just jump to verse 31, and we're going to close out there. We're going to go back to that article before we close out. Read.
Verse 31. And then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature.
Why? Because Ishmael was a wild man. Remember, it says he was a wild man, right? And he was given blessings. So here you have on public access TV and all these other nations, them bragging about killing your beloved leaders. And you going to take that sitting down? No. They're going to finally realize no matter how much we try to be at peace with these guys, you come and you kill, you start wars, you bring filth and defile. In Afghanistan, we did a show. The first thing they did is they try to spray paint over all these women dressed in pants and the immoral values that are now in Afghanistan, okay? And that is another Arab country. A lot of them are Arabs over there in Afghanistan. And now they're trying to get all that filth out of that area. They're going to remember, wait a minute, not only do you bring death and destruction, because Ishmael has a little bit more morals than these other religions. They believe the woman should be covered up. There's a certain amount of, I would say, more moral values than a lot of these Western countries, so-called fake Christians. Read on.
Verse 31. And they shall, and then shall the dragons have the upper hand, remembering their nature.
Yes, sir. Come on.
And if they shall turn themselves, conspiring together in great power to persecute them, then
stop. Now, what does that mean? To persecute them, meaning they have been persecuted. And there comes a time, if you remember, after a while, you keep getting kicked, you keep getting trampled on, you're going to remember, wait a minute, I'm not as weak as they saying I am. We're going to come together, I know who we are, and we're going to overcome our persecutors. And that is what's going to happen. They're going to remember their nature, and they're going to do what? They're going to remember these major hits of beloved people. They killed many of, in Iraq War I and II, there were hundreds of thousands of, what do they call it? Civilian casualties. And a lot of times they would kill whole villages and older women and men and children to accomplish the mission. All right, they broke, I believe they broke a lot of Geneva Convention as well, which there was certain rules of engagement that you have to do, which they don't even keep their own doggone rules of engagement when they're in theaters of combat.
No, they don't. But if you go against the ROE, you going to jail. You're breaking big rocks into little rocks, but they could do whatever.
Right, so look, before we close out, Officer Matt, you have an article that just came off the press, and please bring this out. This is some heavy, heavy stuff.
Yeah, get that last article.
Y'all gotta zoom out a little bit, man. Just
On this TV, y'all can't zoom in that far. All right.
U.S. warns China against helping Russia.
How you gonna tell somebody not to help their friend?
Hold up. That's like Russia saying, oh, Canada, don't help the U.S. What the hell? They share a giant damn border. What do you, the pompous arrogancy of these damn Western Edomite demons.
That's like Russia saying, hey, United States, you better not go over there and help Venezuela.
Right.
You better not. You better stay away from Mexico.
This is how you know the United States is a bully. Well, I'll beat your behind and your behind if you jump in. That's exactly what he just said.
Hey, watch this. Go to the article.
U.S. warns China against helping Russia. Washington has an array of tools to deal with foreign companies that refuse to observe U.S. sanctions.
Do you know what that means? An array of tools?
You know,
now they getting gangster because they're talking about tools, but they got an array. They got a whole list of things that they could do to deter you from, because there's sanctions on Russia. There's sanctions on China. When U.S. puts sanctions on them, it's not, you don't do trade with me. You don't do trade with nobody. That no man may buy or sell lest he that have the mark of the beast or the name written on his forehead. So you ain't got NATO on your forehead.
So their policy or their guide.
Exactly. If you don't follow what we say and what we do and what we put out there, you can't trade with nobody. I don't give a damn if you do share a border with each other. Y'all can't do no business unless I say so. Go back to the article.
When they say they got a array of tools, you know what came to mind? I got a special set of skills.
Yes. Yes. They can keep playing if they want to.
Right. State Department spokesman Ned Price threatened Chinese businesses with economic punishment if they decide to work with Russia through any
hypothetical
sanctions imposed by U.S. President Joe Biden.
Bruh, that's gangster as hell. They said you better not, even if you think
about it.
Even if you think there's a sanction and we find out about it, we gonna punish you.
If you dream about helping Russia, you better wake up and apologize.
Go ahead, go to the article.
Oh, man.
Go ahead.
During a press conference on Thursday, Price claimed the U.S. has an array of tools that we can deploy if we see foreign companies, including those in China, doing their best to backfill U.S. export control.
Wow. Go to if Russia thinks.
If Russia thinks that it will be in a position to mitigate some of those consequences by a closer relationship with China, that is not the case.
So they like, look, if you think that you can continue business with China, you sadly mistaken. Read on.
It will actually make the Russian economy in many ways more brittle. Price warned in reference to hypothetical U.S. sanctions against Moscow over a hypothetical Russian invasion of Ukraine.
Hypothetical, meaning if, maybe, possibly. But they are already ready to do these things. They're already ready to send troops to you because the troops is already there. They're already ready to send sanctions over there because it's already written. They're all ready to make China pay for it because the troops is already ready.
You know what this is like? It's like them old heads that can't nobody beat in spades, and they put all their cards on their forehead. I'm about to show you what I'm going to do you, and you ain't going to stop me.
Yep.
That's exactly what the United States is doing right now.
Yep.
It says, in the same press conference, Price continued to warn Russia it cannot survive without the West.
Now look at this. You can't survive without us. You can't do business with us. That's why they said it's going to make your economy more brittle because we're going to stop certain things. How can they do that? Because they already got control of Ukraine's mind.
Mm-hmm.
They already have NATO that everything passes through NATO to get to Russia. So if I make NATO cut you off, then Russia, you can't get nothing. All of my troops, my military is Europe. Go back to it.
Price continued to warn Russia it cannot survive without the West, claiming that if you deny yourself the ability to transact with the West, to import the West from Europe, from the United States, you are going to significantly degrade your productive capability or capacity and your innovative potential.
So Russia, what they're saying is your ability to make those nuclear bombs, that innovative capability comes from trading with us. You can't get the cards for your nuclear bombs. You can't get the precious metals for your nuclear bombs. You can't get the science and the know-how of your nuclear bombs without trading with the West. You can't get the innovative capabilities that you have without trading with the West.
Know what? It makes more sense why they destabilized Kazakhstan now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because Kazakhstan has all those materials. Now you destabilize them. Russia came in. Okay, we're going to support Kazakhstan. Now we can go over here and we back Ukraine. We try to put Ukraine there. Now Russia's going over here where Ukraine is.
Hey, and check this out real quick. I posted something. I know we're going over a little bit, but I posted some UN names. The United Nations, that's the UN, names Moscow the best world city to live. So now, Russia, hold up. You need, and again, most how muster in the battle. You telling me that they need the West to survive? Russia's the largest country, and China's got the largest standing army, and their economy, and they have more. They have one of the strongest economies in the world. Russia does, and I'm gonna show you something. Watch what it says about Moscow. Moscow, we get this many times. We as Americans, I know I was raised under the emotion, evil commies, these commie bastards. We used to say that all the time in school. We didn't even know what we was talking about. Never even knew anything about Russia. Now, China has China has many cities with way more people than New York. Shanghai, Beijing. These cities in China have 20 million people. Huge industries in China, right? Japan too, right? But let's look at Moscow. I posted an article real quick. We're going to close out with this. Okay, check this out.
UN names Moscow best world city
now,
to live in.
Now, this is not from 2012. This is, I think, very recently.
The 3rd of February, 2022 at 10:17 Great Mountain Time.
Moscow is a gorgeous. It's a gorgeous city. Look at the infrastructure. Look at the style dome of buildings. Let's read this real quick.
All right. The Russian capital beat out major European and North American rivals to claim the top spot. The UN has published its global cities ranking for 2022. It has awarded Moscow the top spot among large cities for quality of life and infrastructure.
The U.S., like New York City and Chicago and L.A., they have horrible infrastructure. A lot of times they get rated a D.
Yes.
That's why Biden is trying to do all these different things with initiatives of highway reforms and train and things like that. Russia is a great city worldwide. And it's going to sound like, oh, what are these guys in IUIC pro-Russian? No. We just know that the U.S. is a bunch of damn demons. And we also know that when you peel back the layers, Putin and all those other Russian Edomites are the damn devil as well. But we're just showing you how they're trying to use that. You can't survive without the West. Really?
It's called mind effing.
Right.
That's
exactly.
what it is. It's mind effing. It's like I'm gonna say that you can't survive without me, even though, I mean, over here you have all of the proof that you can and do, but I'm gonna say it because then that'll way it'll make the rest of NATO believe that you can't survive without the West, just like they can't survive without the West.
And the thing is, the hypocritical part about it is that the United Nations are the one that's saying Russia is the best city for infrastructure and quality of living. So what do they talk? You gonna come within 11 hours of the capital of my country, and as a world leader, you're not supposed to beef up. 100,000 is nothing. No. Troops to protect your border. The United States is a master chess player, and they are positioning themselves to start a world war, and God is behind it all. So all pray. So look, y'all stay in the spirit. We went a little over tonight. Shout out to the tech team for the most part, did a great job. Next week we're gonna change topics. We did 3-part series on this. Continue to fight. Unless something major happens, we're gonna move on to next week to another topic. We'll probably get into some Black history, and because it's so-called Black History Month. So with that, we got some disclaimers, some reads, some booster club, things of that nature.
Hey, look, y'all. If y'all want to donate to Precept Upon Precept, y'all can do so via PayPal at iuic.neworleans@israelunite.org. To donate to the Booster Club, you can do so at iuic.fundraising@israelunite.org. Also, make sure y'all donating to y'all local schools, those of y'all that have schools. Also, give to y'all pantries. Stock these pantries up. This famine is coming. It's real. It's already here. Y'all see the shelves.
Israel United in Christ. We are not a hate group. We are not affiliated with any other Israelite group. Israel United in Christ is a nonviolent, Bible-based movement. We do not advocate or condone any acts of violence against any race, ethnicity, or gender. We advise that if anyone hears or knows of any plots to cause harm to anyone or to break the laws of the land, you must contact the proper authorities to bring awareness to any possible threat, as stated in Leviticus chapter 5, verse 1.
All praises to the Most High. Thank you for joining us again. Another edition of Precept Upon Precept. One more time, subscribe, like, hit the bell notification to our YouTube page, IUIC New Orleans. We're trying to get to 15,000, then 20,000. Share our videos. And by you doing that, it helps to help people all over the world, because you'd be surprised. IUIC Kentucky could be watched by people in different countries. Same thing with New Orleans, all right? So with that, we want to thank you. We are your host. I am Captain Shem, and the men to my left.
Officer Matthew.
Officer Mikael.
So all praise to the Most High. Join us next week, 9:30 Central Time. And we are Precept Upon Precept. And with that, we say
Shalom.
Shalom, Israel.
You listening to Precept on Precept. Captain Shem break it down to no meat left. Line upon line in the word, make you respect. History collegiate when we teach it, brains reset. You listening to Precept on Precept. Captain Shem break it down to no meat left. Line upon line, the word make you respect. History collegiate when we teach it, brains reset. Putting in the work for the Most High. Valley of the bones coming back and we gon' ride. Showing you our past didn't start with that boat ride. We a nation made of kings, yeah, we chose right. Bringing our identity back. We the praise of the Lord, they pretend to be that. Judah is something special, they can never be that. We raise the vengeance with